All right, thank you everyone for coming for this cybersecurity workshop, which is conducted by IIT Cybersecurity Society. And so I'll be speaking about few topics actually today, about starting with Security Operations Center, an introduction about what it really is, and making you understand the missions of hacking, and also into intelligence in the latter part. So before we start, really understand what is cyber security. So basically everyone has an idea saying that cybersecurity is basically hacking. It's not, right? So cybersecurity is mainly, it's about managing risk, right? And it's all about compliance, access controls, stress testing, and vulnerability management. So let me explain you. Risk is some thing which is trying to harm your infrastructure or your organization. So you need to calculate the risk and manage it to defend yourself. So basically, in the context of cybersecurity, you cannot eliminate risk fully, but you can only manage it. And coming to compliance, so there are various standards such as ISO, GDPR, PDPA, and etc. So those are mainly into compliance. So you need to be compliant to move forward with your business. So and access controls such as we call them ACLs. So access controls has DACLs and all the stuff. So access control is used to protect your information, your network from, it's kind of security solutions or some policies, I would say, just to protect your information. And stress testing is where hacking comes, where you basically try to penetrate into your system using security tools and environments, you name it. And vulnerability management is not a service, it's kind of a cycle of it's a cycle of continuous testing. So vulnerability management takes up to, I would say, 3 to 6 months, where you need to continuously, it depends on the organization, either it's weekly or monthly, you need to test the systems or the network for any parties. And yeah, so I'm just speaking, right? So I'm saying the name vulnerability. So does anyone know the meaning of vulnerability? Anyone? You can take a guess. Vulnerability. So the simple answer is it's a weakness. Vulnerabilities can occur when you design a new system or the system gets older. So basically, in that same cycle, vulnerabilities occur every time. So if I say what is cybersecurity, cybersecurity managing risk for an organization, and it's not only hacking. Hacking is just Security Operations Center is also called as first line of defense, where in SOC it's kind of a centralized center where the analyst who is some kind of organization's network for cyber threats. And so they are the people who knows what's going on in the network. So they are the first line of defense. If you tell trade, there are people who are in the first line is protecting the country, right? Same. Same applies to this concept. So that's first line of defense. There are level 1 to level 3 analysts. I'll come to that later. And there is the basic structure of a center. Yeah. This security SOC is sized unit that monitors, detects, prevents, and mitigates threats. Right. So why is it important? A SOC is important because let's say you are running a business, which is an IT business, right? And you have no idea what's going on. You have thousands of customers in your business. PII means personal identifiable information. So you have all customers PII, and you have no idea, right? So that's where it comes in. You have in-house, you outsource it, so you know what really going on in the network. Are there any intrusions? Are there any hacking attempts? Are there breaking? So these are the kind of legal view of why is it important. And so yeah. So any questions until now? Because I'll be moving into some practical demonstrations. I mean, you can talk, you can ask questions, anything, right? Mr. Dylan, I don't know. So yeah. So let's forget about SOC. What makes a family? Father, mother, and children. Same goes to SOC. People, you need process, you need technology. So people are analysts, level 2, level 3. It's basically the solution you need. Some are CM solution, security, information, event management. So basically that software is what we use to monitor SOC. It can be Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, etc. Those are examples which you or may not know. Process is to take to conduct an incident management. How kind of process it take to remediate an incident, right? So in a CM solution, there are incidents. Incidents are made out of alerts. So mainly, sometimes you get around hundreds of alerts for analysts. So analyze each of them and see whether there are any threats in the network. So it's all about a trial and error, but sometimes attackers try to evade their detection or basically bypass antivirus solutions, EDR solutions, and they try to blend in the network. Teaching, explaining all on how kind of techniques, what kind of techniques they're using. So management, you have to. So there are threat vulnerability basically some kind of a important object organization. So basically, let's say you have your printers, you have your servers, you have your cloud servers. So those are assets of yours. A threat is kind of a adversary coming into your network, trying to infiltrate to steal your data, and that's a threat. Vulnerability, I said, is a weakness. So all together, we need to manage them together. Connect each other and manage all the threats in an organization. So that's what risk management is, the basic overview of it. So two methods of analysis in risk management is, there are two types, risk analysis and threat analysis. Risk is based on priority level. It's kind of, let's say, so it's based on assets. So risk you can manage through, let's say, a server. What are to manage it, you can have a vulnerability assessment to say what kind of vulnerabilities are there, and according to that, the higher level priority can be eliminated or modified it, or you can fix it. Threat analysis come into, let's say, it comes under malware analysis. You trying to uncover the threats, like what's the real purpose of this threat, right? So that's the two methods of risk analysis and management. So this is basically the equation for a threat. A risk is made out of threats and vulnerability, right? So I hope you understand this equation. And so yeah, ransomware is a very hot news these days. So we recently had an incident. Let's say a company A who had an incident on ransomware where their servers were compromised. And so what had actually happened is, so those guys have external parties connecting to their server to deploy software or deploy the code. That's what software developers do, right? I'm not sure about that. So these guys are connecting through VPN. And through the VPN, the malware has come to the server and has done stress testing or trying to bypass the firewall of the company A organization's firewall and to infiltrate and put ransomware. Can someone explain me what ransomware is? Anyone? I need y'all to speak up. Ransomware. Ransomware. Anything? Any idea? You can be wrong, it's fine. So ransom plus where? Ransom. That's how the word is, right? So ransom is basically you are getting money. You're getting money from an external party using software. So this ransomware, which the company was a mix of two ransomware softwares. Which one is Phobos and the other one is Makeup. So those are two publicly available ransomwares there. You can modify it and target. So here, after getting initial access is basically the foothold. You are basically there are many attack vectors where you can use to gain initial access, such as phishing attacks, scam calls, website hacking, etc. So here the attackers had used a third-party company to infiltrate a targeted company. So company B was compromised earlier, and because they are using VPNs, they have come through the VPN to the company A and deployed the ransomware. So that's how the initial access was taken. Next stage, they have tried to bypass the firewall. So they had a pfSense open source firewall, which no one would recommend to have, but they had, and they tried to brute force few malicious packets and tried to bring the firewall down. Soon after they brought the firewall down, they had deployed Mimikatz, Lazen, and all those post-exploitation tools. Those are basically hacking tools. Mimikatz is used to dump secret passwords, administrator password, hashes, etc. So they have deployed all the tools inside the company A's servers, and they have compromised the NAS server of them. So basically they have tried to pivot into various machines so that to steal data. So what we have found was they have tried to steal all the passwords and customer details, invoices, etc. from company A. So basically that's what has happened on that ransomware incident. So what we went and did was luckily the backup was not infected. So another mistake people do is they keep the backup on the server, right? So that's kind of a huge mistake they do. They keep the same backup they took from the previous day on the same machine, which will get compromised. So not even the backup is safe if you keep the server, if you keep the backup on the server, which is going to be ransomware. So here, luckily, the backup was on an external driver, and so we were able to recover the files. We were able to dump the memory dump and try to trace back the hackers. We were able to trace back the hackers. We found their email addresses. We found their login passwords, their infrastructure, what kind of techniques they use, and so for that you need to have a good understanding of technical aspects, such as you need to use Autopsy. That's a tool where all the law enforcement, such as Sri Lanka CID and those guys, Sri Lanka CERT, they use Autopsy, NCASE, etc. Those kind of tools to uncover the threat actor's profile. That's where incident response comes. Incident response can be mapped into, let's say, so there's an incident and you go there and you respond it. So there's a cyber attack, you go to the location, and what do you mean by responding? Are you gonna talk to the hackers? Guys, you need to talk, come on. Speak, anything, you can be wrong, I'm fine. Are you gonna talk to the hackers? Is that what it means? Then what is it? There's a cyber threat or cyber attack, sorry. You go, what you need to do is you need to collect artifacts. Artifacts are some kind of details of the attack which has happened, let's say IP addresses, URLs, network traffic, memory dumps, those are called artifacts. So you go, you put your tools, you pull the data out, and that's where identification. So basically there's a cycle for incident response. First is you plan, preparation. You go there, you identify the landscape, you do a threat model, you see what kind of servers has been infected, and then you identify what services should we focus on mainly. Let's say it's a business which does, let's say a supermarket. The payment server is compromised. So first thing you need to go and do is not the other servers but the payment servers, because the most important thing is business continuity. Even though the cyber attack is there, they have to continue their business, or else they will have a huge loss. So next is where containment. Containment means you have to take the infected machines out of the network so that it won't spread more, right? And then eradication and recovery becomes data recovery, and how do you take it back to normal. So incident response is very important in cybersecurity because it's a huge a domain in cybersecurity where you have plenty of jobs, because small and medium businesses daily, each second there are 728 attacks per second in Sri Lanka. So there are plenty of opportunities if you go through incident response path, where you need to learn malanalysis, digital forensics, law, kind of legal actions you have to take, chain of custody, etc. So that's incident response. So since our topic is about Security Operations Center, I have to explain what a CM is. So it's kind of a software where it's a dashboard, right? So that you have various aspects such as connectors. So let's say you have a computer or a set of computers, there are agents. You install the agent and all the system level logs are going to the CM solution. So you can monitor, the analyst can monitor. So that's what basically a CM solution does. It gives you an overview of the threat landscape. It gives you a deep, in-depth understanding of the threats or your organization's access controls, your vulnerabilities, etc. So that's what a CM solution does. So basically, even a small company can have a CM solution, and they can have just 1 or 2 person running. So it's a SOC. So basically, you have the CM, you buy the CM solution, or you set up the CM solution, and you give it to a few people to monitor, and that's a SOC. But it doesn't complete a SOC. You need to have policies, you need to have access controls, you need to have governance. Everything should implement in a SOC. So I came across last year a famous company. They said that they had Splunk, and then they said they have a SOC actually. And then I asked, how come you guys have a SOC? I don't see any kind of things you have done to make a SOC a success. And they said, no, we have a CM solution. We have 4 people running 24/7. And I said, no way. That's not going to work. It's good for understanding the basic stuff, but it's not a SOC. If you want to have a SOC solution, it's more into understanding the whole cyber landscape of the organization. There can be dark web leaks of your organization. You need to monitor that. You need to have threat assessments, vulnerability assessments, and continuous monitoring. So setting up a CM is a huge task for a corporate, I would say. And so the center or the heart of a SOC is a CM. So these are the components of a CM: data collection, data normalization, event correlation, alerting, and incident response. So there's a small, every CM has a small section for incident response where you can live connect to the machine, and then you can do some remediation on the infected machine. And there are data collection you need to, so to monitor you have to collect data from the agents, right? Agents are installed in all the machines, so you need to collect data from that. And yeah, so these are the components. Benefits of a CM is it also having a actually fulfills also. So there's a set of rules in a company or management level where you need to have proper level of overview of your landscape. So that basically it's a must. So compliance is a must. So having a CM solution, it gives you a good overview of the landscape. So before going to the offensive side, are there any questions? Anything, please. Any questions? How many of y'all are trying to actually get into a cybersecurity career? Anyone? Okay, we have one. Anyone else? No one. Okay. Think about it, because cybersecurity is the future. It's not software engineering. Like wherever you go, you can find software engineers. Wherever you go, you can find software developers. It's not the case. I'm not saying not to do software engineering, but it's, as Mr. Dalan said, try to be unique. Try to find yourself in what's your purpose, right? So I'm not saying cybersecurity is very unique and everything, but there's a long way journey you can go in cybersecurity. It's kind of different. So to understand cybersecurity, you need to know software engineering. You need to know how applications work. You need to know how these technologies work to implement them, right? So talking about who's an adversary, how many of you all heard about Chinese hackers? Russian, North Korea, Ukraine? No one? News? No one has heard. Chinese hackers, Russian, so we call them nation state hackers or APT, advanced persistent threats. So also we don't call them hackers, we call them adversaries, right? So these adversaries are backed with billions of dollars of resources to hack into companies to steal data, right? It's kind of a chess game, right? Let's say you have North Korea and you have Chinese. I'm sorry, they are friends. North Korea and USA, right? So USA has a hacking group called Equation. It's done by NSA, National Security Agency. So let's say North Korea and USA are fighting, are attacking each other, and it's kind of a chess game. They try to outsmart themselves. They try to, let's say, if this fails, I'm going to do better than him. And they try to develop another exploit. Exploit is kind of a software where you try to exploit a vulnerability or weakness. So cybersecurity, or basically hacking, and nation state hacking is completely different, where they use, I have no idea, those guys are very smart, right? So adversary is a bad guy, a threat which does harm to all organizations. So there was a recent report from Microsoft there where North Korean hackers, Russian, they 24/7 they scan the whole network, the whole internet. I'm sorry, they scan the whole internet. So coming back to the ransomware scenario I did, after the incident, they moved to the cloud. They had cloud servers. 2 days, they were compromised again. Why? They didn't have proper access controls. They didn't care about security protocols, right? So they bought, I don't know, they spent around 10 to 20 lakhs on cloud servers, and then 2 days, it was compromised. So there was a crypto miner, there was PowerShell activity going on, and there were many things going on. They were actually deploying ransomware on the server itself, cloud server. So that's why I said they are scanning 24/7 the whole network or the internet for vulnerabilities and opportunities to gain access. So I actually forgot to say that if you take threat has 3 attributes: mean time of detect, opportunity, and motive. Every adversary has a motive. They have to have a motive to attack. Something the security professionals do wrong is they think having good security products in your organization will protect them. No. Any software. So basically nothing is secure. Nothing is safe. So anyone can bypass EDRs, Kaspersky, SentinelOne, CrowdStrike. There are people I know, I myself have done. So it's very easy to bypass these security solutions. So the mean time of detect is done by the CM solution. So they have to detect as soon as possible when the threat is happening. Second one is opportunity. That is the only attribute we can control rather than the adversary. So the adversary finds the opportunity and we have the ability to control the opportunity. Opportunity is basically the vulnerability, the weakness. So if we do our proper vulnerability assessments properly, daily, monthly, we can mitigate this risk. We cannot change their motive, can we? Can we tell them to email and say, don't hack us? Can we do that? No. So basically we cannot control their mean time of detect. We cannot control the motive, but only thing we can control is the opportunity. So cybersecurity is basically a mindset. It's not technical, it's not tools, it's not It's not that. So that's an adversary. And coming back to how do adversaries stay under the radar? Okay, let's say now company A is getting targeted, but they don't detect. They have a CM solution, they have a SOC, but they don't detect. Why? Cannot identify the threat, because the attackers knows the way the analysts work. They know how they detect. They know their mindset. So what they do is they try to blend in the network. Let's say the network traffic has SMB protocol, HTTP, HTTPS, DNS. Those 4 are must in organization. So they try to exfiltrate data using HTTP, or there's command and control servers using HTTP, DNS, and SMB. So they can exfiltrate or steal data through the same network protocols in the organization where they can blend. So they cannot detect them, right? So that's how they actually stay under the radar. Methods, there are tools such as DNS cat, brute rattle, etc. to exfiltrate data and have command and control server. Next is, how are we going to keep the customer environment threat free? Okay, first thing is very costly, continuous monitoring, but the 3 is much more practical, where you have to do vulnerability management, as I said, threat intelligence, and applying strict access controls. So if you follow these steps, the final 3 steps, I think you can 90% be threat free for an organization. But it's much better if you have a SOC or continuous monitoring, but it's more costly, right? Introduction to Zero Trust. Zero Trust is it's kind of a concept, and also there are products, right? So Zero Trust is where you don't trust any device, each other. The next computer, I don't trust you. So that's what a Zero Trust method means. So they have to come into conclusions where there's bring your own device, BYOD, where you cannot stick USBs, hard drives in an organization. You need to come into those policies. You need to come into network protection, where let's say finance department has a separate network, engineering department has a separate network, etc. So that's basically makes a Zero Trust environment. You have strict access controls, where there's fingerprint, there's biometric security. So yeah, there are 3 principles. So one of the main or the easiest way to do is least privilege access. So let's say if a company has given network access for 10 people, why? Only 1 admin would be enough, right? Or maximum 2. So if they have given 10 admins, they're most likely gonna get compromised. So you need to control the least privilege access. Verify identity and access. There are identity access management tools. There are solutions given by Microsoft. You can use that, and you can do a assume breach practice. Assume breach is some kind of how do I explain? We have already got an initial foothold on the company, right? They have given a computer which is connected to the internal network, saying that we have already hacked into the network. So that's basically assume breach. So we try to bypass the access controls inside the Active Directory or the network using tools. So that's one of the way you can check out the internal security as well. And yeah, so coming back to how many of you use Kali Linux? Why? Why do you use it? Does it make you a hacker? Okay, so So this is Burp Suite, which Dylan said. This is Burp Suite. It's kind of a proxy-based web application. This is but you all haven't seen this. And there are tools such as Nmap. You can install all the tools. So tools are here, right? So tools are here. You can password cracking and all that stuff, right? And I was talking about Nessus. Nessus is a very famous tool for vulnerability assessment where you can install it freely. It's kind of expensive, but this is a free version. And I'll go through something. So I've already done a few vulnerability assessments. I will go through access this. Okay, this thing. So this is what kind of this is a test example I've taken, right? So don't worry. This is what a simple vulnerability assessment looks like. So they have vulnerabilities up to 36, standing and giving the report. It's not. So most of the companies I know, famous companies, who takes millions of dollars for a single assessment, just scans, exports the PDF and gives it to the client. But to use it properly, right, you can identify the vulnerabilities or the most high priority vulnerabilities first and see how does it impact the organization, right? It can be a web server misconfiguration. So how does it affect? Does it able to hack into a web server, right? So you need to check each one of them. So one of the main thing is SMB signing is not enabled. So basically the attackers can use a tool called Responder. There's a tool called Responder, and internally you can get one of the computer users NTLM hash. So basically you are getting their password since this is not enabled. So this is kind of a tool you can try also. And yeah, so the first presentation is over. Thank you. Any questions? Anything? So there was another guy who was not able to come because it was about career guidance. Does anyone know wants a career guidance? So I can do that also. Please be open. Does anyone needs a small introduction about career guidance? No? No need? Okay. So yeah, that's next is about cyber threat intelligence. You all need a break or 5-minute break? Huh? 5-minute break. Cool. So the first thing is done. They want to Session is about intelligence. The intelligence and security myths. What you can see, this is an online sandbox. Have you ever used a sandbox? Probably, right? To run software, test cases? No? Seriously? Okay. So this is a malware sandbox. You can run malware on it and see what kind of output is there, right? So, sorry. This is done by a nation state hacker. This is done by Chinese hackers. This is a domain they have compromised, and they are delivering malware or web drive. We call them web drive malware. Right, when the user visits the website, they download the malware and executes. Right, so I have run this malware on an online sandbox, which is any.run. As you can see, if you go through the threats, there's a word called exploit kit. Right, these exploit kits are designed to exploit a specific vulnerability or weakness. Right, so if you just click, it says, some threat says network Trojan, right? You can go through them and click and see what kind of IP address or the communication between the attacker and the destination, right? These are, so there's a thing called IOCs in cyber threat intelligence, indicator of compromise. They are similar to metadata, but not exactly. So basically, IOCs are IP addresses, domain names, DNS names, ASIN numbers. So if you go to, if you go see here, you can select the IOCs. So hashes, right? You can go through them and check these things in VirusTotal. How many of you all heard about VirusTotal? So okay, so there's a website called VirusTotal. Let's say I'll copy one of the hashes. So this is VirusTotal, and you can paste the IP address or the hash here. So when I put the domain, so domain as the indicator of compromise here, let's say you can identify that this is malicious. So it says this is malicious. So when you go to details, you can find the DNS names there, right? And I think it's better if I say it. So you can find these newsletters related to the IP address or the domain, right? You can go to relations and see what kind of IP addresses are connected to this same IP, right? So these are all malicious, right? You can basically identify the adversary's infrastructure or their whole operation through this mapping of threat intelligence, right? So here you can find what kind of files are communicating, right? There are HTML files, there are domains. So these are some online tools you all can use to monitor and identify an infrastructure of an adversary, right? So coming back to the presentation, let me just So Ghidra is a tool to reverse engineer malware, right? So it's a tool from National Security Agency which is leaked by focus hackers, where they have all the data from NSA. They have steal data from NSA and leaked to the public. And this is a tool where you can use to reverse engineer. So I'll just show you a demonstration. Basically, it disassembles the code. So I'll just this is what a Ghidra interface looks like. So this is used to reverse engineer, to identify IOCs, identify command and control server IP addresses, identify the motive of the hacker. You can use these reverse engineering tools to identify it. So there are functions you can go through and try reversing. So the pseudocode is there in this side, right? So this is one of the tools. You can try it out when you go home. It can not only malware, it can reverse engineer any kind of software, any software you develop. So yeah. So 5 steps of converting information to intelligence. So basically, what you do is you convert raw information to actionable intelligence. One is you have to use collection, analysis, dissemination, and feedback. So one of the main thing is the most important thing is analysis. You need to analyze the set of data you get. So there is a data science student, right? So as you know, this is analysis part is the most important thing, right? So without analyzing, you cannot get the actionable intelligence data. And to prove or confirm it, you have to get the feedback of the users. So these are basically the 5 steps, and why CTI is crucial for daily operations. So if you know what your organization is, so let's say you are running a business again, okay, you need to identify what kind of services or products am I going to deliver. So according to that, what kind of threats am I going to face, right? To understand that landscape, you have to know about threat intelligence. It's good to have, right? So continuous dark web monitoring is really good if you have a large scale business, because every second, as I said, organizations get compromised every second. You have to have CTI in your pocket when you're doing a business. So it's proactive defense, information decision making, right? So even to make a business decision, you need to have cyber threat intelligence. Without knowing what kind of you are going to face, what threats you have faced already, there's no point of running a business. You can run a business, but it's going to be you're going to face a huge lot of trouble. And also, as I earlier said on the SOC presentation, risk management and also compliance is also a must. What are IOCs and how to gather them? One of the way I showed you earlier using Ghidra, you can identify IOCs through that reverse engineering, malware analysis. And also you can get it from VirusTotal, right? So, and you can write, there's a thing called Yara rules or Sigma rules. These Yara rules or Sigma rules can be written using IOCs and put them into CM solutions. So basically you gather the IOCs, you collect them, you write the Yara rule, there's a method to write it, right? I think there is, yeah, this is kind of a simple Yara rule, right? you have to write this YARA rule according to the IOC and tune it up, right? So that basically the threats will get detected. This is if you are into blue teaming. So in cybersecurity, there are two types of blue teaming and red teaming. Blue teaming is basically into forensics, defensive, and hacker hunting, like this. In red teaming, you have offensive operations, you have pen testing, red team operations, purple teaming, etc. Right? So in this case, to hunt hackers or track them like we did in the incident response, you need to think like a hacker. You need to think what steps would they take to infiltrate a network. For that, you need to have red teaming knowledge. So basically, it's all interconnected in the end. Even to defend, you need to know how to hack. You should know how to defend. So if in the context of hacking, you need to know how to defend. Why? Because you need to evade those. Go inside and without getting detected, and you can do your stuff. But even to defend, you need to know hacking, just to understand how a hacker works, right? So cyber is just a mindset. Practical demonstration. I have. I want to see how I would like how I would track hackers. I mean, yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So. So there's a tool called Censys, right? So so this is a tool where all the hunters use to track the infrastructure. It's called Censys. It's free, and so this, I took the same domain, right, where I used, where is it? Here, Black Salt, their IP address, and track their whole infrastructure using Censys. Where is it? So I've already gone through the procedures, and see there's only 19 servers they have. So basically these are all the servers. Let's say there's remote access. So remote access is a good indicator saying that this is a hacker's infrastructure, right? Because they use remote access. So so you can use and that's the online sandbox I showed you, and see. So if you just click on this, some kind of a okay. Anyway, so you can go and see, check on things, check how to, where does it go, where does it map into, which IP, which domain is going to take into. So it's all about redirections. You all know redirections, right? When you click a link, it just redirects to something. So redirects are some method hackers use to make you go to another website believing that's the original website. That's called WebDrive exploit, right? So basically, I said intelligence is used for cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is about risk management. And